too much hype at Nebraska? Is that even possible in an offseason? You've got questions. We've got answers. Mailbag next.
You are Locked On Nebraska, your daily Nebraska Cornhuskers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and thanks for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find more than 15 flavors to choose from. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery store or convenience store. Stock up and stay energized.
All right, welcome in, everybody. It is Friday here on the Locked On Nebraska podcast. I'm Connor Happer from 1620 The Zone in Omaha. Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. We usually start this off by making some chit-chat about the weather. It's going to be gray and chilly for the next few days still, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. So that's good, but cold baseball weekend if you're out at a diamond somewhere, which I will be.
Yeah, the local teams are in town. Nebraska's got Rutgers coming in, so that means excitement.
Yeah, Big Ten baseball, baby. All right, so it's a Friday mailbag. We got a lot of questions from you guys, so let's not waste any time and jump right into them. Let's start with Mitch and GI, a frequenter of the mailbag. He says, I've been trying to prevent myself from buying into the hype this offseason to avoid any feelings of letdown during the season. However, your episode earlier this week regarding defensive players you're looking forward to hearing more about got me pretty excited. It does seem like we have added a lot of good players to the team. What are your suggestions to avoid getting too hyped up this offseason? Mitch, I always have a strong answer to this question because, so you're a fan of the team that you're rooting for. Mitch is a fan of the Nebraska Cornhuskers football team. You should not take any preventative measures from getting yourself excited for the season. Like you should always dive headfirst into it. Like you should and people are like, well, when they go 6-6 again, or where they go, they don't make a bowl game or whatever, then I get sad. So what? You get sad at the end of the day. It's really okay. Like you're not going to be caused any physical harm by this or anything. Like, this is what it's all about. You jump into it, you put your heart and soul into it. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, there's going to be next year. And if the coaching staff doesn't work out, there's going to be a next coaching staff. So I would take no preventative measures. If you feel like that this is a team worth getting excited about, get excited about it. And if you're buying into the hype, buy into the hype. But you can still look at it with a critical eye or whatever you want, but be excited about your team. That's what fandom's all about.
There's a natural desire to take protective measures, and I think a lot of people, especially after the way it's gone at Nebraska, you can liken this to our plight as Kansas City Royals fans. Not in this current moment, but for many years when the Royals were on streaks of losing season after losing season, there was a tendency to want to not get too excited at the start of a season because you could then set yourself up for heartbreak.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is go ahead and go all in. And if you end up being heartbroken, then that's just part of the experience of being a fan.
I mean, you could evaluate how good you think the team is, right? Like I wasn't saying that I wasn't excited about the Royals in 2019, but I was excited about the future. Like I was counting down the days until, Bobby Witt Jr. reached the major leagues starting when he got drafted in 2019. So maybe it's a long-term excitement or something like that. Baseball's a little different from college football. So yeah, I if you feel the excitement from, what you hear, then I wouldn't worry about taking any sort of preventative measures to protect yourself, because what's the worst that can happen? As Matt Rule said, and as we've repeated this week, if we die, we die.
You're a fan. Go ahead and live and die with the team. It's if you're trying to make your experience as a fan more dull so that you don't get hurt,
Right.
then sports is not for you.
I totally agree. Here's Luke. With the new 105-man roster limit, I think this could be a blessing. Seems like we could not develop players the last several years, especially Scott Frost. Think with less people, we may see more practice reps to go around. More reps equals better development. What do you say to that?
Fewer players, more coaches, more attention on development, more reps per player. Yeah, in theory, Luke, I think that what you're saying makes a lot of sense. There will be opportunities for development with younger players in the program, players who are in a position to be developed. More of those opportunities than might have existed in the time when Nebraska had 160 on the roster. So I can't argue with that. I don't know if the 105 will end up being a blessing for Nebraska football. It might make Nebraska better. It might make Nebraska more the look of the roster to be more similar to what you see around the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that by removing like the bottom 40 or 50 players from the Nebraska football roster, there is inevitably going to be a transformation in the complexion of the program, what Nebraska football is, especially as it relates to having players wear that uniform who came from the state of Nebraska. There is going to be a drop. There's no way around it. And even like a percentage of, a percentage of your roster, the numbers on your roster, the percentage of players who end up making an impact for your program who were from your state. If you can get past that, and people will have to, then or they just won't be the same level of fan.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get that, put that in the background, then this whole 105 thing might work out really well in your mind.
It's hard for me to say that it's a more conducive environment for development of players, just because of the flexibility that the players have in terms of movement. But if you view a player as like, all right, we recruit him as a freshman, and the plan is with everybody that you recruit is that they're going to stay there for 4 years. Yeah, there might be more attention paid to them. There might be a higher urgency at first to get them on the field, considering, I mean, just the clock is always ticking on whether a person's going to be there or not. And if you have a, in the NFL, they're not afraid to play rookies if they feel like they could play right away, and they put them out there and they make mistakes. So I think that's probably conducive to development a little bit if it's the right person. So I think there's some balance there, but yeah, I don't mind the point.
One other thing about that is what the 105 is going to do is it's going to create expectations among the players, and the players, like little communities, their families, their agents, their friends, that there will be opportunities to play sooner than there were in the old system of college football. And with that will come less patience, continued transfer culture. And then the more players move around and jump from one program to the other, then that diminishes the opportunities to develop, because you don't have continuity within the place where you started. So it doesn't all happen in a vacuum. If you just said, hey, we're reducing this thing to 105 and there's no other changes in the sport, then I think, yes, like what you're saying here, Luke, would be difficult to argue, but we have to see how it all works out. And my suspicion is that you're just going to continue to see players to move around, like the free agency situation, unless we have like contract buyouts and 2-year deals and things like that. Then we can revisit this.
Maybe we'll find out some of that next week in the good old house settlement.
Right.
One more in this segment. Here's Tim, who emailed us lockedonneb@gmail.com, who is the leading candidate to play center. Did you get any idea on that situation from Donovan Raiola yesterday?
Well, yeah, Donovan Raiola, Nebraska's offensive line coach, talked to the media on Thursday, heard from the quarterback's coach, Glenn Thomas, heard from Jalen Gramstad. Donovan talked about the center position and like the need to train that position differently, from everywhere else on the offensive line. I think we know how Donovan feels about the center spot, having been a center himself, having had a brother who was a center. The Raiolas are well versed on everything related to the center position. No, I didn't get a sense about a leading candidate. He talked about Sam Sledge because he was asked a question about Sam Sledge, and he said it's going really well. Does that mean that Sam Sledge is in position to be the starter on August 28th? I don't know. I think that Justin Evans is probably the guy that I would pick at the moment.
Me too.
Who I think will slot there, but that probably isn't determined. They're going to scrimmage. They're expected to scrimmage tomorrow on Saturday, I think is the best way to put it. We didn't get any kind of definitive answer about that, but we haven't talked to Matt Rule in a week or so. I think when Rule comes in to address the media midday on Saturday, he'll come with a report of their first major scrimmage of the spring, and maybe he can shed some light about the offensive line, but I don't really think we're going to learn a lot about it, honestly, until we get to August about who's at what position, other than a couple of obvious ones.
Yeah, I think Justin Evans is probably the favorite at the spot right now. We're still a long way to go, a lot of wood to chop before the season, and I feel like they feel relatively, obviously they feel good about Spindler at right guard. That feels like a lock, and Pritchett at left tackle, and then you can, kind of mix and match after that. Evans is a starter somewhere, in my opinion, but I think in all likelihood it's center at this point. All right, we'll take a quick time out here. More questions from you all on the other side here on the Locked On Nebraska podcast. But first, a word from our friends from Fabric. Life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching the kids take their first steps or their first army crawls. The baby gates are going up, things like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking from experience. And before you know it, they're off to college. That's why securing their future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance that fits your family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online, right from your couch, right from the chair that you're sitting in right now. You could be covered in under 10 minutes. And in many cases, no health exam is required. You could get $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day. So protecting your loved ones does not have to break the bank. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Meet, MEET, fabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions.
And a moment here to talk about PrizePicks, because baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With PrizePicks, just like in basketball, just like in football, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. That's right, 1,000 times your cash, 3 zeros. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, first inning runs, PrizePicks has a way to keep every moment of every game exciting. If you're building a lineup this week, maybe you want to pick Aaron Judge, for instance, to hit more than 1 home run, and Shohei Ohtani to steal more than 1 base. Those things seem to be likely to happen, and it's that easy with PrizePicks. Setting a lineup takes less than 60 seconds, and when you win, your payout is quick, safe, and secure. Also, take advantage of promotions like Taco Tuesday, where PrizePicks offers discounts on select player projections for even more value. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Locked On College for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, back for segment 2 of this Friday episode of the Locked On Nebraska podcast. Mitch Sherman, Connor Happer with you. We go to Storm Poo on YouTube.
Hell yeah.
Good name there. He says, or she, Nebraska deserves a 90,000 seat stadium with a retractable roof and a natural grass field. Don't tell me there isn't enough money. I'm so tired of hearing the muck that the school can't afford it. Dumping $700 million into the Memorial money pit is a slap in the face of Husker Nation, especially when it reduces seating capacity. Charge me more for tickets. Build me something I'm going to be proud of.
Wow. So I mean, that'd be a pretty big undertaking. What
New
Nebraska
stadium?
planning on doing is a pretty big undertaking. I think one of the biggest pieces is if you're building a new Memorial Stadium, you are likely finding a new place to play for a couple of years, which is pretty tricky. And frankly, I think what they're doing and what they're planning on doing is going, and that'll reveal itself in the coming days, weeks, and months here. It's going to make Memorial Stadium seem new. I think for at a lot of different spaces. So natural grass field, that's coming. So you can get your wish there. I'm not sure how that makes your experience any better, but I think that's coming. I just don't think the dome is coming. So you'll have to stay short. And the 90,000 seat capacity, that's not coming either. The 90,000 seat capacity is that's gone. That's not coming back anytime soon.
There are some logistical challenges to this proposal that we see here. Obviously this is not going to happen. So it's just not. Like, Nebraska's not going to build a new $700 million stadium or whatever it is. Hey, actually, the $700 million reference here is about dumping money into the old stadium, which the figure might be that. I don't know.
It might be more. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it might be more. We'll see. We'll see how things are when how things are for people and how much money they have when the summer comes around and the time comes to unveil Nebraska's plan about what's next for Memorial Stadium. The reducing seating capacity thing, I continue to kind of be befuddled at how this is like a hot button topic with fans. Nebraska's not filling Memorial Stadium right now. Yes, the sellout streak is continuing, but for most games, you can get tickets for $10 on through the various methods. Go to Game Time, you can get tickets for less than what is face value when you want to attend a Nebraska football game. I don't envision that changing. I think the way of the future is to reduce capacity. We're not talking about taking 50,000 seats out of the stadium, but if you have a 75,000 seat stadium and it is a more fan-friendly event to attend because you're comfortable, I'm not seeing a downside. That's a win-win for me. So we should get past that. I've kind of got an axe to grind on that whole talking point. But good question, good topic. Not new stadium, not happening. Let's go to Pat in Omaha on email. Pat asks, how are things going for Trev Alberts at Texas A&M?
This one's less convoluted, less angry. They are not going particularly well, it seems. He had a situation last summer with his baseball coach where he in a very high profile way left to his main rival's school and then decided to elevate the assistant coach from that staff, and now the baseball team is not performing very well.
Unranked after being number one in the country, and that rival, which goes by the name of Texas, is in the top 5 with the old coach from A&M who didn't want to stick around in College Station with Trev Alberts, the former Nebraska AD.
He's lost his men's basketball coach. He's lost his women's basketball coach, and he's going to be on the search for both of those. And reportedly, they were in men's basketball, they were close to signing a deal with Chris Beard, the coach from Ole Miss, who's had a lot of success back at Texas Tech as well, and weren't able to get that deal across the finish line. So people at Texas A&M don't like when you don't spend the most money on the best coach. And Trev Alberts loves not spending the most money on the most popular coach name out there. there's a balance to be achieved there. And I don't know that it's been struck yet with Trev and the A&M fan base.
Kind of interested to see what direction the Aggies go with a men's basketball coaching hire, because there's some names, that in theory are available, but I don't know if they will be for what Trev Alberts has in store. This is all kind of interesting to look at, and in this moment right now, it's easy to say like that they're not a good fit, Trev Alberts and Texas A&M, because of the things that you kind of laid out about how A&M likes the fan base wants to spend the most money, and that doesn't jive necessarily with Trev Alberts and the way that he does business. But let's give it time. He's had one football season with Mike Elko, and ultimately that's going to be what determines his legacy at Texas A&M, is where things go with football. Like this baseball stuff, A&M is probably going to right the ship in baseball. I know it's been a rough first couple of months for Michael Early, the new coach, and it's disappointing for sure to see 10 SEC teams ranked in the D1 poll this week, the D1 baseball poll this week, and have the Aggies not one of them when they started the year at number 1. But I will say, Pat, let's check back in like 12 months and see where things are at for Alberts then.
Yeah, fair. Let's do one more before we take a break here. Here is Josh from email. Do you know how the Crown will divide the NIL money awarded to its last 4 teams?
So I looked into this, and I could have asked Nebraska, are the players just going to divide it up? Did they get an even?
Yeah, it's at team discretion and whatever they decide to sort of do with it, because it'll go to this team.
It goes to the players. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So
that's what we know. It goes to the players. And I don't know that anyone is going to say you're starting 5, get X percent or whatever it is. I would think they're going to divide it evenly among anyone who is on the roster at this event. But the players, once you reach this stage of the Crown that Nebraska's at now, by the way, 12:30 Saturday from Las Vegas, you can watch Nebraska and who's
Boise.
Nebraska playing? Boise. Yeah. Boise in the tune-up before the Final Four on Saturday night. I got the two semifinal games from the Crown.
Yeah.
I don't even know who Nebraska's playing, but
no, Boise's on Nebraska's side, and then the other side is going to be UCF and Villanova.
Yeah. Somebody asked me this morning if I was flying out to Vegas for the Crown, and I think it was a joke, the question, but I would like to go to Vegas. That would be fun.
Exactly. There's always an excuse to go to Vegas.
Yeah, I could check in on the Crown. I'm not doing that. Once they reach this stage with the semifinals, here's what I did learn. The players become because the money's NIL money, so they technically have to do something. They become ambassadors for, I'm not going to name the company, but they become ambassadors for like a company that's a sponsor of the Crown, and then they go and I don't know,
they just
maybe make a social media post
or probably sign some autographs or something like that. But yep, it's weird.
Yeah, that's what they do, and then that's how they cash in. And as we mentioned on the show Thursday, if Nebraska wins the Crown, so that would mean winning Saturday and Sunday. Man, when we come back Monday, there's going to be a winner of the Crown. They would divide up 300 grand. Is that right?
I believe that is correct. Yeah,
300 grand between the teams. So 15. If it's 15 players, it's 20,000 a piece.
It's a pretty sweet payday. If you can get it, that's pretty sweet. And you get to spend a week of your life at the beautiful MGM Grand in Las Vegas. All right.
Yeah.
Still a few more questions on the other side. We'll get through those as we round out a Friday show here on the Locked On Nebraska podcast. But first, a word from our friends from 5 Hour Energy. It's Friday. Maybe the week is catching up with you. And it's by about 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, you're thinking, oh boy, am I gonna get to the point? Well, 5 Hour Energy can help you with that. Get your energy back, and you can enjoy your weekend and get it off to a pretty good start. Whether you're staying up late watching The Crown or anything like that, squeezing it around to golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you the quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. Been staying up late, preparing for baseball games, radio shows, and podcasts, and things like that. Maybe you're doing something similar to that. 5 Hour Energy is going to keep you going. Tropical Burst. Go to the Tropical Burst. Trust me when I tell you, get the Tropical Burst. Or head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack, and you could get it delivered right to your door. And if you need one now, grab a 5 Hour Energy at your local grocery or convenience store. They are everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized with 5 Hour Energy.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right, Mitch and Connor back with you here on a Friday. Appreciate you being with us. I think next week we'll be holding some sort of a party for ourselves for our anniversary of our first anniversary of our first show.
It's been a year. It's been a year. We're
Expect
officially next week.
Extravaganza for that. Maybe there will be confetti or balloons or something like that. But I appreciate all you guys being with us, whether you're new or you've been with us the whole time. Here is Vince in Napa. I think Vince has been with us the whole time. He says, good morning, and thanks for giving me an avenue to regularly contribute to your show. You're welcome, Vince. Anytime. Keep asking those questions. He wants to revisit the favorite walk-on conversation. This one is personal to me because I had a chance to witness both his NFL and college career up close. Adam True. Remember Coach Mike Eckler's press conference where he talked about be a pro here at Nebraska? Mitch, as you can recall, Adam was good, but not great as a lineman, as both a Husker and an Oakland Raider, whose meal ticket then turned into long snapping. Yes, he lasted 10 years with the Raiders, but he mastered the professional approach that Eckler referred to as a Husker. Do you remember long snapping being a conversation when True held that role as a Husker?
Well, no. Long snapping is not usually a conversation when it's going well, and
Especially if it's good, right? That's the point.
Yeah. And Adam was a good long snapper at Nebraska. A good guy, just a good all-around guy too, by the way. I liked Adam True. And yeah, then went on to play for the Raiders, and he was able to parlay his long snapping talents into a lengthy NFL career. So that is a great way to make yourself a commodity. Every NFL team needs a long snapper, and every college team needs a long snapper. Nebraska did not have a reliable long snapper in 2024. If this is the road we're supposed to go down with this question / comment from Vince, I think it's to remind us that long snapping is an important element of football, and Nebraska has signed a long snapper from the portal, Kevin Gallick from New Hampshire, I believe. New Hampshire. Yes. And the hope is that it's very much like when Adam True was around, and we don't talk about it at all.
I think, yes, you're more inclined to think about this more when it's bad, and it was bad last year. So hopefully we don't have to think about it anymore. We got several comments from YouTube about Dylan Raiola and his body composition. They basically just want us to stop talking about it. And guess what? Great news for you guys. We're not gonna talk about it anymore because it's not a subject anymore. I don't think, right?
It's not. No, I think it's over. In fact, Donovan didn't get asked about it at all on Thursday. I don't know why he would have, but it seems that in recent days, before we heard from Dylan, everybody associated with Dylan was either asked about it or brought it up. And I will take a little bit of issue with one of the comments here. I'm looking for this. Somebody's from Sean. He said, "Are you serious? You asked Rule directly about his weight. Typical media from Nebraska blaming fans." I don't know, but like Rule brought it up every time that he talked about Dylan through this offseason. There were instances where he was asked about Dylan, not specifically about body composition or weight, and the coach went there, decided to go there.
Yeah.
So it's and then when we heard from Dylan last week, he said, I'm okay talking about this because it's been a big part of my off-season focus. So I
think he wanted to talk about like how hard it was and what he's sort of been and that's a different angle than kind of how it started. But remember how it started.
Yeah.
It was brought up unsolicited by the coach.
But it's a non-issue. It's a non-issue at this point.
No doubt. This is from I Like Privacy a Lot, which is a great screen name. It appears every Nebraska media member pronounces the name. I'll get to the pronunciation, but the defensive lineman transfer from Missouri, Nwaneri, differently and also incorrectly. Could someone please ask him how to pronounce his last name and spread the word? I'm getting secondhand embarrassment. So I looked into this last night, and on a lot of the media guides or whatever, they have the pronunciation guides, or they have a little button next to their name where it's actually the player saying their name. Missouri didn't have any of that last year. So I dove deep and I listened to some podcasts and people talking about them and stuff. So here it is. And I apologize. We apologize for not getting this straight out of the very.
I apologize.
I apologize. So for not getting this straight out of the gate. Nwaneri, Williams Nwaneri. The N is silent. It does not exist. Nwaneri. And that's what we're going to do.
I heard some reference to the N technically not being silent, but also not being stressed. Like there's a little bit like Nwaneri. See, I said the N there at the beginning. Nwaneri. Like I kind of said it, but not really. Well, when we get to talk to Williams, and I'm not going to like send him a DM to ask him, and he probably couldn't if I wanted to. He would not take my message. I don't know him. I haven't met him yet.
Right.
So when we get the opportunity to chat with him, maybe after he plays, we can settle it once and for all. It's a name of Nigerian descent, and there have been some other Nwaneris who've come around in whatever culture, and the way that they pronounce the name is Nwaneri. So that's the way it goes. And I'm sorry. I do think that people have pronounced it wrong, and that bothers me too. Like I get secondhand embarrassment also for this. Happens a lot. Like Umen Mielin. How about that one?
There you go.
He's gone now, sadly.
Yeah, I know. We had that one down finally. So yeah, that's on us. We got to get that one straight. And
we should know. We should know how to pronounce the names of the players.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I completely agree. So
and the coaches. I was mad this offseason because we were mispronouncing Terry Braden's last name.
I know. Yeah. That's on us. We got to get that one straight. Somebody's got to ask. That's for sure. And finally, from Gigi in New Mexico, greetings from Las Cruces. Love the show. Watch it every night on YouTube before dinner. With the transfer portal opening again soon, right in the middle of spring football, how will this impact Nebraska football? Do you see any departures or additions? Also, thanks for the waves, Connor. That's Gigi watching all the way to the end. That's appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, Gigi's mentioned this multiple times that she loves the waves. So she even said that she waves back at you when you wave.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. I have to put it like a Gigi. I got Jokic up there. I'll put like a Gigi sign back there or something like that. Any departures?
Yeah, sure. There are going to be departures via the portal when it opens. They may not. It may not happen until after spring football, which ends on the 26th for Nebraska. The portal's opening in a couple weeks here. It is before the end of. It is before the end of spring ball. So yeah, there are players who came into spring and like held on through the offseason and in hopes that they could win a position or maybe win a backup spot, depending on their situation in the spring. And it won't happen for them. And so you will see players transfer. Nebraska needs some players to hit the portal in reality after the spring. So that can help it get down to the 105 by August.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody we could like identify.
We're not yet. We don't know. Yeah, additions
will happen.
Maybe one or two. I don't we haven't really talked about that. Like, where couldn't we've been shut down on the running back conversation. Like, I don't think Nebraska's going to go to the running back route through the portal in the spring. But you might see one or something like that.
Yeah, it's like if something lands in your lap, and that could happen. It could work out that way. All right. Appreciate you guys, as always, asking questions. And for another week here, we'll return on Monday. There will be plenty to get into after the weekend. And maybe we'll be wearing crowns on our heads. Who knows? That is it for us today. And we appreciate you making this your first listen. For your second listen, check out Locked On College Basketball. You could be the most informed college basketball fan right now. Find Locked On College Hoops on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.